50,000 years in the making. Australia has been built on heroes and heart, trailblazers, rebels, and the brave. This time, revolution sweeps the suburbs and the beaches. The baby boomers transform Australia. And far beyond its shores, Australia forges new frontiers. Its inventions, its resolve,
It's all right, sweetheart.
its charm.
That's a knife.
This is the story of Australia.
Oh, here's a story about a boy and a girl. Oh, she's as pretty as the diamonds and pearls. Come on, baby, you make me crazy. I 1, 2, 3, coming back for more.
November 21, 1956. Brisbane, Queensland's first official rock and roll festival. Desmond Duke, builder's labourer, larrikin, mad keen dancer. He's a bodgie, a rock and roll fan. The girls call themselves Widgies. They dress like their idols, American rock and roll stars. They see themselves as rebels. Anyone over the age of 30 sees them as a threat to decent society.
With rock and roll, the underlying message is to let go, to be free, to rebel. And that's what it did for a lot of these young people who, I guess, felt quite suppressed at that time.
The police attend to make sure the kids follow every rule, no matter how bizarre. Dancing's okay, as long as you do it sitting down. But dancing in the aisles is against the law.
The whole point of rock and roll is to move, you know, to shake your body. It's a visceral experience. The thumping drum beat is really the core of rock and roll.
Des isn't looking for trouble, but when the band fires him up, he just can't help himself. No one is prepared for what happens next, and it's all a result of the Second World War. 14 years earlier, July 1942, American General Douglas MacArthur establishes his headquarters in Brisbane. The US is a crucial ally to Australia, but thousands of American troops bring another fight to Australian shores: the battle for women's attention. The GIs stand out from the local blokes. Slick hair, sharp uniforms, aftershave. No wonder they have more luck with the ladies.
America really became a massive influence. At that stage, Australia was absolutely obsessed about the import, be it the imported car, be it imported clothes, being imported music.
After the war, American pop culture floods Australia. Films, magazines, music. Soon, some locals begin copying the Americans. Rock and roll haircuts, zoot suits, even faking the accent. Someone calls them bodgies, Aussie slang for poor imitation. But their love of the new music is genuine and deep. In Brisbane, Des answers the call of the rock and roll beat.
Rock and roll is about rebellion, you know, really. As soon as somebody kicked up against the system and did whatever they want, and everybody went, yes, I want a piece of that. I want a piece of that freedom.
This is our night. You cops won't stop us.
Son, back in your seat. Back in your seat. No, don't. No, out. Don't stop. You, son, back in your seat.
It's a revolution fueled by music, adrenaline, and a new sense of power. Australia has never seen anything like it. With the entire theatre illegally on its feet.
Get out this way.
Someone sets a seat alight.
Senior, get him out.
And the audience becomes a mob. Their parents grew up in the Depression, survived the Second World War. They can't believe what they're seeing. These kids have only known peace and prosperity. Brisbane cracks down on bodgers, trying to save civilised society from the threat of rock and roll. But it's too late. The genie is out of the bottle. Soon, Des and his friends are turning to homegrown rock and roll stars, like Johnny O'Keefe.
When people like my Uncle John, Johnny O'Keefe, came along, or, your Cole Joys or Lonnie Lees, to see that we could not only participate in this revolution, but lead the revolution as well, I think was something quite incendiary for Australian youth.
A revolution sparked in part by Desmond Duke. He's charged with assault, resisting arrest, and destroying police property. 2 policemen's hats. Within a year, fueled by rock and roll, the record trade explodes to £1 million a month. Australian rock and roll is away and running. Aussie acts will rise up the charts around the world for decades to come. The Easy Beats, the Bee Gees, AC/DC, Men at Work, In Excess. Today, Australians spend $1.5 billion a year on music, much of it homegrown. Des's baby boomer generation will be the largest and richest in Australia's history. And all their lives, they will continue to turn the country upside down.
Sugar pie, honey pie, sugar pie, yeah.
In the 1950s, Australians surfed straight, long, unturnable boards on strictly controlled beaches. Yet within 2 generations, Australians will reinvent and dominate world surfing. Create a $5 billion surfing industry and transform the way Australians live on the vast coast of their continent. May 17, 1964, Manly Beach, Sydney. The first ever official World Surfing Championship is the spark for Australia's beach revolution. Midget Farrelly, 19, in the final, underdog. The Americans are the favourites. This is Midget's chance to show the world what he can do and help change Australia's beaches forever.
Midget's story is so unbelievable because as a young kid, he sort of wagged school and got away from that, and he just fell in love with surfing. And not only did he fall in love with surfing, he wanted to do it his own way. That's what's so special about it, and that's what's so Australian about his story.
Since World War II, the nation's beaches become a battleground in a war between 2 radically different visions of Australia.
This pageant brings us a parade of virile manhood, the march past of the surf lifesavers.
The dominant force on Australian beaches is the Surf Life Saving Club.
Sturdy young men who devote their leisure hours to the splendid task of making the beaches safe.
In the 50s, clubbies draw on mateships forged in war. They're a generation committed to service, saving lives. They enforce strict rules and regulations. Surfboards must be registered and up to 5 metres long. They're so big, surfers have to store them at the surf clubs. Surfing is under clubby control.
It was very regimented, it was very militant, it was very structured, and they tended to put the flags up where the best waves were. And so for Midget to stand up against the club scene was rebellious.
The longboards are impossible to turn. Surfers aim to get all the way to the beach without getting their hair wet. But in 1956, a new kind of board and way of life explode onto Australian beaches. The US lifeguard team comes to Manly to demonstrate much shorter, lightweight boards. They do something no one here has seen before. Turn and ride across the waves. Within days, locals like Midget Farrelly make their own boards and start carving up Australian waves. By today's standards, they're still long, but in 1956, they're nothing short of radical. Surf club bosses aren't impressed. The boards aren't suitable for saving lives. Many clubs ban them. It's the start of a split between young surfers and old guard clubbies that never fully heals. 1962, Hawaii. Far away from Aussie surf lifesavers flags, Sydney boy Midget devotes himself to mastering his art. He rides his homemade board against the best Americans on the legendary waves of surfing's birthplace.
There was a rivalry already between Australians and Americans. You know, they sit on either side of the Pacific, and this is a Pacific invention, if you like, board riding, wave riding. So Australia is starting to vie with the Americans as a surfing nation.
The kid from down under takes on US champ Mike Doyle.
Midge dashes along the beach in an effort to gain assistance from the strong rip. Contestants can catch as many waves as possible in the time allowed.
Against the odds, and to everyone's surprise, Midget wins. It's the first time an outsider takes Hawaii's biggest surfing prize. At home, surfers turn their backs on the clubby-controlled beaches close to town. They head out along the coast to discover surfing hotspots like Bells Beach, Byron Bay, Winkipop and Margaret River. They begin to transform beachside living all around the continent. Surfing booms in popularity. It's no longer just a sport, but a new way of life, expressing an old ideal, freedom.
I guess it really was about exploration. You know, suddenly you had something which wasn't so cumbersome and heavy, and you know, like you didn't need a massive four-wheel drive or whatever you could throw a shortboard in your car and head down the coast and look for your secret spot.
Australians listened to surfy bands like the Beach Boys. Closer to home, the Deltones, the Atlantics, and Little Patty burst onto the scene. Midget's Hawaiian victory helps attract 65,000 to Manly for the first World Surfing Champs. But the smart money is still on the Americans. Australia's and the world's best compete over 2 days. In the men's final, Midget once again faces Mike Doyle. He has 50 minutes to impress the judges and show Australia what surfing can be. Midget ignores his opponents. He focuses on the waves and dances on his board as never before. His final cutback blows everyone away. The judges love it too. Midget wins.
A lot of surfers allow their surfing to do their talking for them, and that's really what Midget did, especially in 1964 when he won his first world title. You know, he went to America, beat the Americans at their own game, and then decided to bring it back to Australia and have a legitimate win in the first World Championships.
From the 60s on, boards get shorter. The surf they ride gets bigger. Midget and shortboards change surfing in Australia and around the world. In the next 50 years, 19 Australians will be crowned world surf champions. more than any other country. Australian surfing entrepreneurs create global brands and a multi-billion-dollar industry. Surfing even changes the way Australians speak. Boardies, rad, grommet, gnarly. Australians find new ways to live on their continent. They're about to change the face of Australia itself. April 4, 1975, Saigon, Vietnam. The city is under attack.
Oh, mate, listen.
A Royal Australian Air Force plane attempts to escape.
It's time to get out of here. Let's get started on that.
Its crew and volunteers are part of one of the most ambitious rescues in modern history. The evacuation of thousands of orphan babies from the Vietnam War. Melbourne mother Elaine Moyer, former secretary, now aid worker, the driving Australian force behind Operation Baby Lift. It's a desperate race against time. Many of the babies are dehydrated, sick. Some are close to death. And that's not all. An American evacuation plane crashes soon after takeoff. They suspect a missile or a bomb and fear the Australian plane may be next. Elaine's determined to get the children to safety. It's the last days of the Vietnam War, Australia's most controversial foreign battlefield.
It seemed to be a war that never got anywhere. It always just stayed in the same place. Australians at home got fed up with it.
To make matters worse, Australia is on the losing side. Saigon is about to fall. The city's many orphans are at risk. Despite the difficulties of removing thousands of babies from a battlefield, Australia and America commit to Operation Baby Lift. Earlier in the day, at one of Saigon's largest orphanages, Elaine must choose which babies will become Australians or Americans.
How are we going to get all these kids out, we said? Well, we're going to have to divide up the babies.
She decides the sickest will go on the shorter flight to Australia. For the other places on the Aussie plane, they draw lots. The North Vietnamese army closes on Saigon. The city panics. Elaine is one of a small group of Australians left in Vietnam. Now she's on her way to the airport with a busload of babies. A desperate mother approaches with her child. Before she reaches the airport, Elaine takes 5 more babies from mums who believe they will not survive when the city is taken.
Well, this is an incomprehensible desperation for a mother to be saying, take my baby to another country and I may never see it again. And it makes me feel really grateful that I've lived in Australia where I haven't had to ever face anything like that.
For the North Vietnamese, Saigon Airport is a key objective. Just as Elaine and the babies arrive, the US plane falls from the sky.
We were at the airport filming an Australian RAAF of Hercules leaving for Australia, also loaded with orphans. We just turned around and there was this massive pall of black, thick smoke. The Galaxy had come down shortly after takeoff.
78 orphans die in the crash. Also killed, Elaine's friend, Australian aid worker, Margaret Moses.
Look, at any point in war, there will be losses. From a personal perspective, you know, I understand how hard it is for people to be able to block that out and remove emotion. What is more critical is that you keep everybody else alive and get the job done.
Keep moving them up, one more room. Come on. That's it. Come on, bring it up.
The crash creates confusion. No one yet knows the cause.
Come on.
But Elaine and the other Australians prepare to leave. Some babies have been waiting for hours. If the sickest orphans don't get to hospital quickly, they will die. Takeoff will be the most dangerous moment. The adults on board know the giant lumbering Hercules is an easy target. They suspect enemy insurgents are already inside the airport. It takes 15 agonizing minutes. But the Australian plane climbs clear of danger from the battlefield below. War, loss, and want are behind the orphans. Safety, a new home, and opportunities now lie before them. The Hercules touches down with its precious cargo. All the babies survive the flight. Operation Baby Lift rescues more than 3,000 infants. 260 are adopted and raised in Australia. They are now parents to children of their own.
The rescuing of those Vietnamese children and also the welcoming of the many Vietnamese refugees to this country, and what it reminds us of is we are capable of compassion as a nation.
I'm really proud that Australia chose to look after those Vietnamese children. My mother actually taught a lot of those children at Arthur Phillip High School where she worked, and I still remember Mum coming home really proud at some of the Vietnamese boat kids that had come into the school with no English and went on to do the HSC, went on to achieve staggering results, went on to university, went on to have careers.
Elaine will spend the next 20 years helping Vietnamese Australians. They're part of a new wave of migrants who come to Australia from all over the world. Today, 1 in 4 Australians is born overseas. Their children are more likely to marry outside their ethnic background and to be better educated and more prosperous than anywhere else on Earth. As the world comes to Australia, ad man John Singleton helps change the Australian voice from uptight English.
Mortine is the safest, surest way to kill filthy, disease-carrying flies.
To ochre Aussie.
You've caught me in the middle of all my cleaning.
May 1974, Sydney.
10 million packets of aeroplane pure fruit jellies are sold.
TV's been in Australian homes for 18 years. But the voices heard on the airwaves are mostly British or American. Even the ads.
Well, it seems like flying at the summit. We're just enjoying their evening buffet there.
Australianness and being an Australian emerged very early, but it took a hell of a long time to get onto the little box and to be represented via the media. Singo facilitated that.
John Singleton, Singo, Adman, Larrikin. Unlike most of his competitors, he engages Australians with distinctive ochre ads.
Oh, Dave! Get on with this, Mabel. One for every day of the week.
Now he faces the ultimate test. He promises his biggest grocery client the all but impossible. A brilliant TV ad made in a day and on air that same night.
We needed to find our own artists that could actually get out there and project the voice of Australia, project the image of Australia, project the products out of Australia. So yeah, he was the cutting edge of it.
Singleton's ads are radical and fresh, but they often draw on a strain of the Australian character more than 100 years old, the larrikin.
I think the larrikin arose historically because most of us had working class roots. So any chance to cock a snoot, as it used to be called, at the upper classes was seized upon, and the larrikin became something of a national hero.
Bushrangers, sportsmen, adventurers express the Aussie larrikin spirit. John Singleton's grocery client, David Holdings, is waging a price war in Australian supermarkets. They're selling margarine and other staples at bargain rates. Singo takes his client's brief, books the TV time, and heads to the studio to shoot the ad. The only problem is he hasn't come up with an idea, and he's running out of time. If it's to work, the ad must speak to Australians in the expanding suburbs at the edges of cities. As the baby boomers come of age and Australian cities spread, they develop a distinctive suburban way of life. A new confidence and pride based on old ideals.
Being Australian, very difficult to define, but part of it is pride in the land, pride in the people, but very strongly a sense of egalitarianism of you may be richer than me, you may be better educated than me, you may drive a faster car than me, but you're no better than me, mate.
Singo grows up in Sydney's western suburbs. He drops out of university and starts in the mailroom of ad agency J. Walter Thompson. By his early 30s, he's a partner in his own firm, Spasm. His work speaks to average Australians, not down to them.
Oh, darling, there you are. You caught me in the middle of all my cleaning.
I think Singo was really clever because by harnessing the Australian voice, it resonated more in lounge rooms when he was advertising a product because we went, oh, it's different.
It's Australian, like me.
I still remember a lot of those ads.
You've redecorated.
Sure, they were catchy, but for me the difference was that I was hearing an Australian voice.
Jack's the River Diamond with the wonderful deals. Jack's the River Diamond with the deals.
Singo's just got hours left to deliver